today, Monday, before FD weekend, we did some things post dyno on the chaser, checked the injectors, cleaned them out, did a few other things, relocate the boost solenoid, which was by the turbo, and so on and so forth, making sure that everything for the AC was hooked up so that we could get the AC charged. Once I got taken care of that, I jumped onto the E36, put another pulley back on because the stock one broke.
From OSW that week, right? Yeah.
For that event. So we put another one on it, and then we finally were able to put the clutch delay valve on it. Required a few fittings that delayed the process, but we got it in. Now we're gonna start off in the middle setting and work our way from there and see how it feels. Recommended by a few of the other E36 guys or BMW people. They recommended that because we're running a one-piece drive shaft to save the drivetrain and prevent from what happened at round 4 clutch kickers. We were going against Chelsea. This should help us with that, avoid all the shock to the drivetrain and hopefully not break another tranny. So now we're gonna bleed it, see how it feels, and then when Adam gets back, if we have to make adjustments to the valving, then we'll adjust it from there. That you feel the delay valve, so
yeah,
it's working.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yo, when you're gonna cut that hair? It's coming. We're getting there.
Okay, so we got the clutch valve delay installed. Mike helped me bleed it and sack, but it looks like it's working. There's plenty of pressure. It feels like there's the right amount of pressure in there. And then as you put the clutch pedal down and you release it, you see where the clutch delay valve is like actually taking effect to where it like slowly goes up. It goes through the gears. We'll have to actually test it before like clutch kickers. But apart from that, and driving on the street, make sure it's like working properly and Adam is happy with the engagement. All we gotta do is we're waiting on a part for the power steering to make it better. We replaced like 5 pumps on this already, so we're trying to minimize that. We're gonna do that, reroute the lines, redo the lines for the oil coolers that were done on it, and that's it for this car. And then the chaser's good, it has AC. It needs a couple of more things on it, like the doors. The door's gonna get fixed. Billy's gonna go ahead and pull those dents out. Guardian Wraps is gonna rewrap the doors. We have a whole new origin kit for it, so that's gonna get rewrapped. The same with the side skirts. Yeah, that car needs not that far off either for drift week. So, and then Freddie's gonna go over the tune, check everything, make sure everything's working, it's happy, and yeah, should be good. It's gonna be a busy next 2 months in here. Hopefully everything kind of works together and we don't have to chase problems, I guess. That's the word I'm trying to look for. But
tomorrow we head out for FD Seattle, so I'll see you guys on the plane.
Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is turned off and we're parked safely at the gate.
What's up, guys? This is Adam LZ. If you're tuning into my channel, you already know that this is cut again. What's up, guys? I'm officially checking in with. What the f is wrong with me? Man, mics make you like second guessing so much, like both like physical like microphones and Mike as a human. He's like standing there with an evil grin on his face, looking like a little Shrek meets the Grinch. Tell me when you're ready. We've been good, bro. We've been rolling. We are here at FD Seattle. I think technically speaking, we are in Monroe, Washington. It looks like it's going to be a very rainy week. If you notice, it's wet outside. I think the forecast says it's going to continue to be wet. It's finally cold enough to be wearing a sweatshirt. I love that. We are going through a bunch of changes right now with the car, setting it up differently for the rain. We're going to walk over and we're going to go check in with Chris and see if he can tell us a couple things real quick. That's not Chris, that's James. I just choked. I'm like debating in my head, like, should we ask James if he knows anything that we're changing for the rain setup, or should we just talk to Chris about it? James, what are we doing differently for the rain setup on the car? Can you fill me in?
Yeah, so we're running much tighter gaps on the body panels because the water gets in there and then it slows you down. So we got to tighten the gaps.
I feel like I keep accidentally putting this little mic in people's mouth. James is redoing some stickers. We got some panels repainted and fixed up from the last round. Let's see if we can make our way around the car and go back over and talk with Chris. Chris has been making most of the changes to the car for the rain setup. Chris, can you fill me in on a couple changes we're making to accommodate for all the rain? This is a very long bank track. It's challenging to stay up. Some of you guys may have a hard time staying up. This track's a real challenge to stay up. Tell me how we're going to stay up.
Okay. God. So to stay up on the wall, God, this is so uncomfortable. God. We're dropping the sway bar. I can't do this, man. We're dropping the sway bar, playing with tire pressures, and oh God, I just don't even want to make eye contact. Dropping the sway bar, tire pressures, and playing with the dampening because the track's going to be very slick, very slick. So yeah, those are some of the things so you can.
He also raised my car about like 4 inches.
Yeah, I love that part. Yeah.
Hate that part. Hate that for me. Let's check in with Shulman. Shulman, there's been a lot of talk about the. It's a joke, Shulman. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Cut that clip. We're going to talk to Shulman again. Shulman, checking in on with you. I'm going to let you control the conversation. That's going to.
That's worse. That's worse.
Take 3 of trying to have a conversation with Shulman. Shulman, talk to me.
Hello. We're here. And wet and cold.
I got like every third word. Let's try that again. All right, take 4 of talking to Shulman. Shulman, say something in the mic.
So what?
This is now the 5th time we've tried to get Shulman on camera. I don't know what's going on today. He's having a rough day out here. Shulman, talk to me. Tell me about your experience out here. You drove the rig 1,500 miles.
Oh, yeah, I drove really far. You know, cross country. I didn't do that. Someone else did that. But we're here and we're safe. But we're wet and we're cold. And we're going to win, right?
You know it. Shulman told me he's going to actually shave his head this round if I podium.
Not happening. No.
When you care about your hair more than you care about your friend, it's f***ed up, dude. It's f***ed up.
Oh my God.
John, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
How do you feel about the car?
The car looks good. It's higher, so we're gonna go off-roading this weekend. Hopefully there's enough mud out there. It's rain.
Now, most of the other teams are adding power, doing a lot of different stuff for this track just because they need to stay up on the bank. It's the biggest challenge of this round, staying up. One thing that we did to try to compensate for that, fresh candy valve covers. This is what makes the difference. Not bigger turbos, not more power, not any of that. Oh, actually, that is a fun thing that I probably should discuss with you guys. We did end up deciding to stay with the setup. We were questionable if we would have needed that bigger turbo to be able to stay up on the bank, but now that it's rainy, I'm super glad that we stuck to the smaller turbo, because in the rain, having a nice, smooth, and like easily modulatable, definitely not a word, power band is like key. So we're going to be running the boost all the way down. We're going to be running it on spring pressure and try to keep it so I can be floored as much as possible, because when you have like a super peaky power band, it makes it much harder to modulate the throttle in the rain, and you just light up the tires with wheel speed and the car wants to spin out. That's where NA cars are really great. Like driving a 350Z in the rain, awesome. Driving a peaky turbo car in the rain is a really big challenge. So I'm glad we stuck with a smaller turbo. It's going to be nice, responsive, and I'm excited to get some laps in tomorrow. It's just setup day, so I guess now we'll roll the footage of everything that led up to this moment. I just wanted to check in with you guys and talk with a couple of the guys and see how everything's going. All right, it's practice day and it's still super wet out. I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. I'm nervous. I've never driven this track before. It's probably one of the longest banks I'll have ever driven. And I don't think I've actually really ever driven a bank in the rain. So I'm just gonna try to take it really easy, get acclimated to the car. What's unfortunate is I think we are gonna end up having practice days in the rain, comp days in the dry. So it's gonna be kind of all over the place, but we're still gonna try to gather as much data and like figure out as much as we can with the car. Cool fun fact, I got my new suit. I got an OMP fully printed suit. We didn't have it in time for the last round, but it came in now, so not gonna match my car. But yeah, I'm super, super excited, very nervous, and I'm gonna get all my stuff set up now. Car just shut off, guys. I don't know what happened. It just like cut out and made a big bang.
Hit your gas pedal?
No.
Alright.
Alright guys, looks like we're getting pushed back to the pits. Alright, so Adam from the future here, just to kind of fill you guys in on what transpired. I went to go do my burnout and I guess one of the plugs came loose in the engine bay, so we lost cam signal and the car just shut off. Fast forward, after Andy figured that out, I went back on grid, and I am gonna be completely honest with you guys, I've never been so scared going into a track that I've never driven before with a very high speed bank in the rain. So I took it very, very slow and shallow, as you'll see in the footage. Super patchy. Matt was doing a great job giving me feedback. So going into the second run, I entered a little bit more speed, still cautious, and I wound up being a little bit too reliant on the left foot brake, which you'll see in this clip. I'm very bobbly and a little all over the place. So we finally got the power steering situated, and we actually have a different orifice in the system. So now it's a lot softer in the steering wheel. Going from a bunch of different cars and then having that change with it, I just need to either get used to it or switch back to make the steering a little bit stiffer. With Wisefab, the ratio is really quick. That on top of left foot braking, on top of the rain. I don't know how apparent it's gonna be in the video, but in the car, it just felt like I was the whole time. And then unfortunately, someone spilled oil all over the track. So right before practice was over, I only wound up with 2 laps. And I would say out of FD, a lot of people ask me what you don't see or what goes on behind the scenes that really is different from what you would expect. And it's that. Going to a new track you've never been to, in the rain, getting like 2 practice laps, sure there's gonna be another practice in the evening, continuously changing conditions, whether it's light, dark, rain, wet, and having to adapt. So a lot of these guys have driven this track a bajillion times, and it's evident how they're going out there full speed ahead on the first lap, but it's dangerous. I don't drive bank tracks a lot. I would have loved to come here and practice beforehand, but another thing that you guys don't know that's not really communicated on video, you aren't allowed to drive a track where they're going to be having an FD event within 2 weeks from the start date of that event. So to be able to get out here and drive the track and get testing, we would have had to have gone straight from the last round, which was impossible with the stuff that still needed to get sorted on the car. So overall, I mean, I had progress through my 2 runs, but I'm hoping to get more than 2 runs in the second practice section and feel a lot more comfortable. Because right now, I'm still a little jittery. We're up here watching Pro 2, and now that conditions are starting to dry up, it looks like a lot of people are struggling with building so much speed on the bank and then going flying off when they're coming into the infield. The best analogy that I have to everything that's going on is just coming from BMX. I was never the type of dude to just like go and send it and jump a big set first try. I'd always have to work myself up. You know, I'd case the box jump a couple times before I clear it. I'd try a 360, before I try a 360 bar spin down a stair set. So I kind of take the same angle with drifting, but it's hard with stuff like this because you may only get 2 or 3 practice runs, and you kind of have to have that ball swivel attitude. At the same time, then you see guys right off their cars because of that and not understanding track conditions. So it's really just a challenge for me to find that middle ground and do what I gotta do. Freddie's got the laptop. He's gonna add all the power back into it now that it's dry. How much you thinking?
All of it.
All of it?
All of it.
All right, let's do it. So I'm gonna do something a little bit different. So when I'm going out for these practice runs, this is kind of reflective me talking to you, telling you kind of what to look for in the footage. So going up into this first practice run of the second practice session, there's gonna be about 4 runs that you guys will see. And this first one, I was feeling great. The track's dry, so I went in, probably the fastest that I've gone in yet, tossed in with confidence. And when you guys watch the footage, you'll see I tossed it in way too early and wound up driving down the bank. Struggling to keep the car up the bank, but I decided I wanted to get a little bit of follow practice to see if maybe I'm entering too early, try to mimic another driver and see if I can figure out what's going on. So I believe in this one that you're about to watch, I was following JTP. It was really cool. It's probably the first time I've actually ever properly tandem on a bank. And this bank's super long, but I did kind of get lost a little bit and ended up going into the wall. You'll see on the car, I ended up breaking one of my taillights, bending a couple of the mounts, and then kind of doing a little bit of fiberglass damage, but overall, the car is still in great shape and it held together really good. But after that run, it's I knew the car was fast enough, still struggling to stay up there. So we made a couple changes that I'll tell you after you watch the run. We ended up adding the stiffest bar to the rear of the car, going up in air pressure a little bit, doing everything we possibly could to try to get the car to stay up on the bank. And in this run that you're about to watch, I kind of struggled with the same thing. It was evident that it wasn't enough. Last run, I had Vaughn chasing me. So I was, actually you think it would make me more nervous with him chasing me. I'm like, Vaughn's gonna be pumped if I do well, and if I don't do well, he's gonna understand. So Vaughn chased me. We had a little bit of contact. You guys will see. Overall, collectively, I'm gonna be straightforward with you guys. I am not feeling confident. Usually in drifting, I feel very confident. I'm like, yeah, I got this. I'm struggling. It's really hard for me. I want to feel better about my driving, about the car. It's not where I want it to be. Vaughn was kind enough to step over here and talk to me afterwards because he had probably the best perspective out of anyone, chasing me, telling me what he saw with the car. And what he saw is that we had way too much forward bite. Because no matter what I did, if I left the brake, if I steered into the wall, the car just kept trying to drive down the bank. So he kind of filled us in that a lot of people will kind of play around with shock settings specifically on the wheel that's on the outside on the bank, play with toe on that wheel, and try to do whatever you can to get the car to stay up on the bank. That's my biggest struggle. I definitely don't have a lot of experience with driving banks. I wish I had more. I've done a handful of laps with W, but I've never tandemed. And I just have to keep reminding myself that I'm here because I want to learn, I want to drive the best, and I have to just accept that this is the learning curve. I'm gonna have to struggle. I'm gonna have to figure out these kinks and figure out the setup so I can get better, improve, and be able to go into battle confidently. But right now, we're gonna be going into battle on Saturday, and I will have 3 laps to get the new setup figured out and feel confident in the car. So we're gonna try to throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, see what sticks, and hope we feel better going into Saturday's competition. The man of the hour, Johan, saved the day. Is this something that you habitually do, or did you just randomly have a gut feeling to cut open the oil filter?
No, I mean, Andy asked to cut the oil filter. So because of what we were running into, we just decided to just drain the oil, cut the oil filter, and then we found a bunch of like material in it.
So all this metal.
Yeah, that's all material that's being run into the system. So at that point, then we're like, we raise the engine. So then we remove the oil pan, remove number 1 and number 2 bearing caps for the number 1 cylinder and number 2, and there were screws in the bearings, and then the signs of bearing failure.
So we're thinking potentially with how much blow-by the engine has been having, that it had so much so that it was down, what would you say, maybe a quart of oil?
About a quart to quart and a half.
And that is enough on top of the fact that we are just running a stock pan with stock pickup. We don't have a dry sump, we don't have an AccuSump. Couple that with a super long bank. We were seeing low oil pressure warnings on the bank. It was having around, I think, 35 or 40 PSI. Freddie wanted us to look into it, and this is what we found. So, solution, unfortunately, is going to be swapping the engine tonight. Solution longer term for it, I guess running more oil in it, or potentially having a drain back, because we can't just throw a dry sump in the car for now, or even an AccuSump.
Have to change everything.
So, for now, what we're gonna do, it's getting the spare motor in it. Are you guys putting the full long block, I'm assuming?
We were planning to use the head from that motor on this block.
Okay, so we'll be taking the short block from the spare engine that I have. And yeah, just keep an eye on it. Worst case scenario, I'm gonna do what I did on the RB. We're gonna have a line made, fittings in the pan, so if we gotta drain back the stuff that's going in the catch can, to make sure that the pan doesn't starve, that's what we're gonna have to do. But I'll show you what the bearing looks like real quick.
This is no bueno. I'm very thankful they looked into it because we caught this very early where a lot of the parts still should be salvageable, minus probably a polish on the crank and some new bearings fitted. But hopefully the rest of the block and the head are still okay and there wasn't too much metal being thrown around.
Okay, so the track dried up and we started running nitrous as a spoolie and, you know, max boost. I think we're like at 32 pounds. This motor, when we spray nitrous, it has a lot of blow-by and it pushes a lot of oil into the catch can. So it looks like what happened was we evacuated so much oil out of the motor that it started to oil starve while Adam is riding the bank. The blue line is your oil pressure, red line's your RPM. Usually he would be about 110, 115 oil pressure up top, and then coming off the bank, so oil pressure got low as, you know, 15, 17 PSI. Like 18 PSI oil pressure at 6,800 RPM.
Which would make sense because I saw that warning. You remember I said over the radio that it had the oil pressure warning? But I don't think we thought we actually had an issue because we've had that warning before with not bad oil pressure.
No, when you said it, I had a feeling that it lost like oil pressure mid-lap.
Which was definitely one of our concerns on Banks tracks. So hopefully that new motor is ringed a little bit tighter and it'll have a little bit less blow-by.
For sure.
So what we have here is the spare 3.4 I think I told you guys about briefly before in one of my videos that I originally got for the Chaser. It's actually one of Turk's old engines. I got it through some sort of weird trade with Titan. Regardless, it does appear to have used pistons in it, but we do know it's got a new crank in it. It's got new rods. It's all freshly honed and looks pretty good. You feel good about it?
Yeah.
A little bit higher compression, so I think we're gonna try to get on the dyno tomorrow. So it did have a head on it. We pulled the head off just to make things simpler, swapping our head over with like the manifolds and everything still installed. I've been trying to fix some wiring to get some more light. A lot of these lights were busted, but I'm having a hard time feeding the wiring back. Guys are going at it. Kind of a cool behind the scenes thing you don't usually get to see at all the FD rounds. We got Dean over here swapping an engine on the Vipers. Got some work going on over here. Some work going on over here. Everybody's wrenching on their stuff. And we're over here trying to swap an engine. But the nice thing is because of the schedule, we do have an entire day off tomorrow. So it's nice to have that cushion, but we're not gonna rely on it. But in case something goes wrong, it's good to have it. I just want to bring very, very close attention to the fact that there is no tuner I've ever met on the planet that is as hands-on as Freddie is. He's literally taking apart engines, working underneath the car. Most tuners are like, oh, your wastegate lines are messed up? I'm going to leave now. Okay, bye. Is that true or is that not true? And that's not a dig at any tuners that I've worked with because all the people that I work with are great people, but Freddie is like, I was going to say my soulmate, but...
My soulmate?
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, Sheldon. That's f***ed up that you said that, dude.
The whole having spare engine things was definitely more of a cool display piece than something I ever thought I'd use. And you know, me and Johan thought that if we had like a fully assembled, ready to go engine, it'd be bad luck. So here we are, assembling
a incomplete spare engine.
All right, so this is a quick little trivia round. Ginge, if you had to take a guess, how many JZs do you think Johan has assembled in his life?
68 before this one.
Is he high or low?
High.
How many of you think you've done?
15 to 20.
It's pretty good. What about you?
There's 2.
Freddie has the best laugh. But we were just talking about, I remember being in one of Titan's rigs probably like 2 or 3 years ago and thinking about how ridiculous it was that they carried around a spare engine and would like potentially change it at a drag round. And here we are, fast forward 2 years at FD changing engines. And it's crazy though if you think about it, the level the drifting is. You know, 1,000 horsepower cars going around a track for 30 seconds at redline.
At a bank.
On a bank.
High speed.
Next to each other. With tunes that aren't from Freddie Spec Tune. It's a miracle that they're all still living.
No, that's mean.
Why is that?
Don't be mean.
I'm not being mean. It was a joke. Jokes are okay when they lift your friends up. And also to be clear too, I think we already said this, that obviously has nothing to do with the tune. We just realized that it was losing oil pressure and that's how we knew to check everything and that's why we're here. Yeah dude, your dwell timing screwed my oil pressure.
Oh no.
We wanted to go dry some for this year, we just didn't have the time to do it, but it is definitely something that we want to do moving into next year. But for now, I think the guys are going to finish assembling the long block. We're gonna head back. We gotta go do some stuff at the place that we're staying. So we're gonna check back in tomorrow, and that's when the new engine's gonna go in the car. We're gonna fire it up, potentially even go to the dyno and make sure that everything's running mint too.